Complete Thundercats 2011 Animated Series Explored. If you're an 80s kid, you were probably excited to hear about the reboot of Thundercats in 2011. Produced by Warner Brothers and animated by the Japanese studio 4C, the series was much darker and deeper and had a unique anime spin to it. The 1980s series followed a team of cat-like humanoid aliens on a planet called Third Earth. Despite being a show for kids, Thundercats had a rich lore blending the genres of fantasy and sci-fi with superhero elements. The show gained a cult status with a devoted fanbase that was understandably upset when it was cancelled after 4 seasons. The 2011 Thundercats reimagines the fall of Thundera as a kingdom under siege. The reboot was a huge win for fans as the lore was more mature with modern animation. Early previews promised a richer mythology, more character development, and an overall darker, more cinematic tone compared to the original's episodic Villain of the Week format. In today's video, we will explore the lore surrounding Thundercats 2011. If you like the journey into the world of Thundercats, please like the video and subscribe to our channel for more. Season 1, The Sword of Omens. Episode 1, the 2011 Thundercats reboot kicks off with a 2-part premiere. Unlike the original, the episode opens in the bustling streets of Thundera, which is ruled by King Claudius, the wise and powerful leader of the Thundercats. Here the Thundercats are no refugees. They are a powerful race ruling their own kingdom. Lion-O is introduced while fighting a bunch of alley cats. Here he is depicted as a young and inexperienced prince who is more of a dreamer and is more interested in old myths and stories about ancient technology than learning how to rule. In the fight, he is saved by Chitara. On learning that he is the prince, the alley cats run away. The scene then shifts to King Claudius, who is worried about his son. He claims that unlike Lion-O, he never neglected his duties as a prince. A fun fact about the series is that the voice actor, Lenny Kenny, who voiced King Claudius in the 2011 reboot, also voiced Lion-O in the original Thundercats. Moving on, in this scene, Tigra is introduced as Lion-O's younger brother. He is portrayed to be more capable and fit to be a king than Lion-O. Moving forward, Lion-O visits the black market with Chitara. He is there to collect ancient technology. In Thundera, although technology is a myth and is believed to be a fairy tale, Lion-O is convinced it is real and is obsessed with proving it. Chitara believes that the shopkeeper is duping him and that he is different. Lion-O, on realizing he is late, takes the ancient technology and rushes to his father. Looks like Lion-O's so obsessed with ancient tech, he'd trade his royal whiskers for a dusty gadget. Meanwhile, Tigra's just polishing his crown, waiting for the throne to FedEx itself. Upon arriving, they begin the sacred rite of passage. Here, the Sword of Omens is introduced. The sword is given to Lion-O to see if he is fit to be king. King Claudius then proceeds to demonstrate the capabilities of the sword to his son. When Lion-O himself wields the sword, he has visions. However, he does not reveal this to anyone and jokes it off. As a consequence, his father thinks he is not ready to be a king yet. Shortly after, the bells ring at the arrival of General Groon. General Groon was sent out by the king in search of the Book of Omens. Along with Groon on his quest was General Panthro. However, Groon informs the king that he was killed on the quest. Although Groon was unsuccessful in his mission, the king celebrates his return. It's fascinating how this scene sets up Lion-O's journey. His visions with the Sword of Omens hint at untapped potential, yet his reluctance to share them shows his immaturity, which Claudius picks up on. Meanwhile, Groon's return without the Book of Omens or Panthro underscores the king's trust and perhaps his desperation for loyalty, even in the face of failure, highlighting the complex dynamics of leadership and legacy in Thundera. A huge party is thrown in his honour, where Lion-O meets 2 lizard men locked up. They were captured as slaves by General Groon. One of the lizard men begs Lion-O for mercy. He states that they were only looking for food when they were captured as slaves. The other lizard, however, points out the unfairness of the Thundercats. He says that they only attack for survival, as in controlling all the best lands and resources in Thundera, the other animals are left with scraps. Tigra interrupts their conversation, stating that the games are about to start. This scene adds depth to the Thundercats' world, showing the moral greyness of their dominance, as the lizard men reveal the cost of Thundera's control over resources. Interestingly, in the original 1985 Thundercats series, the lizard mutants, led by Slythe, were recurring villains with no such backstory. They were simply evil minions serving Mum-Ra. This 2011 reboot gives them a more sympathetic angle, reflecting a trivia tidbit. The newer series aim to flesh out the lore, making even minor characters like these lizards part of a broader critique of power and privilege in Third Earth's ecosystem. Shortly after, the games are conducted by the king in honour of General Panthro. As the games are on, Lion-O asks Grun if he found any technology in his quest. Unfortunately, Grun stated that he never found anything even resembling technology. Tigra believes that the Book of Omens is as much of a myth as technology. Hearing this, Grun states that Tigra would have been a good king. The king defends Lion-O, saying that he too will be a great king. This sparks the rivalry between the two brothers. Lion-O challenges Tigra to a game of who could ring the bell first. The game between them begins, and Tigra seems to have the upper hand. He states that Lion-O will always be second place when it comes to everything except the crown. Tigra wins the game with a final punch to Lion-O. This moment really heats up the sibling rivalry between Lion-O and Tigra, with the bell-ringing game symbolising their broader struggle for worthiness and the crown. A fun piece of Thundercats trivia ties in here. In the original 1985 series, Tigra was the older, more mature member of the team, an architect and scientist, while Lion-O, though younger in body due to his suspension pod malfunction, was always the destined leader. The 2011 reboot flips this dynamic, making Tigra the older adoptive brother and a constant thorn in Lion-O's side, amplifying their competition, especially when Tigra lands that final punch. As someone with a brother, this new dynamic definitely feels more relatable. Following this, Lion-O is seen fiddling with the technology he found on the black market. He questions his dream of exploring technology as Jaga walks in. Jaga is the head cleric of Thundera. He tells Lion-O that according to the Book of Omens, the greatest king will possess the ability of sight. The greatest king will be able to lead with clarity, as sight is useless without action. Lion-O, after listening to Jaga, wants to tell him something, but Jaga says that it can wait till after the party. Jaga's prophecy hints at Lion-O's potential, but his hesitation and Jaga's delay show how leadership is still a work in progress. The scene cuts to two poor kittens dreaming of a better life in the City of Treasures, Eldara. Soon after, we see a crowd picking at the locked-up lizard men. Lion-O rushes in to help them as the crowd threatens to lynch the lizard men. As tensions arise, Lion-O is backed up by Tigra and Chitara. As things escalate, King Claudus shows up. Lion-O insists that they must release the lizard men and convinces his father. King Claudus releases the men as an act of goodwill between the species. A naive mistake? Who's to say? The first part of this episode ends with a cliffhanger where Snarf, Lion-O's pet, is seen to be looking at himself in the mirror. However, as he walks away, a shadowy bit of evil is seen in the mirror.
Thundercats!
Episode 2. The Sword of Omens, Part 2. The next part of this episode opens with Lion-O trying to figure out the technology he found at the black market while having a conversation with Tigra. Tigra tells Lion-O that his act of releasing the lizard men is being talked about by the people. He urges Lion-O to care more about public perception. They eventually argue about how Lion-O has yet to grow up. This scene highlights the growing tension between Lion-O's ideals and Tigra's pragmatism, with Lion-O's mercy toward the lizard men sparking debate, a choice that quickly backfires as the lizards attack. In the original 1985 series, the lizard mutants were a consistent threat, often using advanced weaponry like tanks and blasters, contrasting sharply with the 2011 reboot's more nuanced take. Here, the lizards' assault ties directly to Lion-O's actions, reflecting the reboot's focus on moral complexity and consequences, a shift praised in reviews like IGN's coverage of the series' early episodes. In the next scene, the alarm bells ring again. This time, it is to warn others that the lizards are coming. As the army begins to prepare for war, King Claudus reprimands Lion-O for his leniency towards the lizard men. As a result, he instructs Lion-O to remain inside and takes Tigra and Jaga to assist him in battle. Before leaving, Jaga advises Lion-O to not lose faith in himself. King Claudus's decision to sideline Lion-O for his mercy toward the Lizardmen underscores the clash between compassion and royal duty, while Jaga's encouragement hints at Lion-O's untapped potential as Thundera faces its reckoning. As the kingdom of Thundera comes under siege, the common people are taken underground for their protection. King Claudus prepares for battle. He takes the Sword of Omen and the Gauntlet with him. The cat soldiers, persuaded by the king's speech, rush to battle. As the Lizardmen fire cannons at them, they retaliate by shooting arrows. Inside the palace, the trophy brought by General Groon turns out to be a Trojan horse, as General Slythe and other lizard soldiers emerge. They implant the mysterious technology inside the palace. Meanwhile, in the battle outside, the Lizardmen attack with missiles. They attack with a platoon of gigantic armoured battle mechs. The missiles and laser cannons destroy the palace walls. Lion-O is shocked by the overwhelming power of technology as he spots two lizard soldiers implanting a bomb similar to the ancient technology he found at the black market. He rushes in as he has figured out how to use the mythical tech. The twist of Groon's trophy being a Trojan horse is a clever nod to classic warfare tactics, amplifying the chaos as technology, Lion-O's obsession, turns against Thundera. In the 1985 Thundercats series, Slythe and the mutants often wielded high-tech gadgets, but the 2011 reboot ups the ante with battle mechs and lasers, showcasing a stark contrast to the original's simpler animation style. The scene changes as he grabs the tech and leaves. As the Lizardmen march towards them, they run to escape into the palace. However, they realise that they are trapped when General Slythe comes out of the palace with his army. They destroy the bridge leading to the palace. As the king wonders how to stop them, General Groon suggests that there is one thing that might stop them. As he shoots up a flare, the platoon stops escalating. Groon reveals his true nature by betraying King Claudus. He strips off his armour and boasts about how he found ultimate power while looking for the Book of Omens. He states that his allegiance to the king means nothing and that he has allied himself with the stronger force. Eyeing the Sword of Omens, he threatens to take what he wants. Groon suggests a deal for the sword. However, Claudus states that Groon has nothing in exchange that he wants. Subsequently, Groon gestures to General Slythe and he instructs the lizard men to bring out the prisoner. The prisoner is revealed to be General Panthro. Claudus, surprised and infuriated, refuses to budge. Groon's betrayal and Panthro's reveal as a prisoner flip the stakes, showing how far ambition can corrupt, while Claudus's defiance keeps the Sword of Omens and hope alive despite the odds. As Groon challenges him, Claudus asserts that he is forgetting Jaga's clerics. Suddenly, Jaga's clerics attack the Lizardmen at great speed. This leaves an opening for the Thundercats. King Claudus leaves the protection of the clerics and rushes after his friend Panthro. Tigra, unable to stop him, rushes after him too. When they reach, they are surrounded by Lizardmen while Groon guards Panthro. Unexpectedly, Lion-O shoots out the old technology at the mechanical robots, causing an explosion. King Claudus, acknowledging his son, wields his sword and rushes to save his friend. He defeats Groon with the Sword of Omens. As he frees his friend, Panthro falls to the ground. Claudus states that he will fight an army twice the size of this to save his friend, proving his friendship. Jaga's clerics and Lion-O's tech gambit turn the tide, showcasing teamwork and ingenuity, while Claudus's fierce loyalty to Panthro shines through, proving that friendship fuels his strength as much as the Sword of Omens does. As the king turns away, Panthro stabs him in the back. Lion-O and Tigra rush towards their father and help him to the ground. Claudus shuts his eyes forever as he tells Lion-O that he is proud of him. Lion-O, enraged, questions Panthro's loyalty. In response, Panthro smirks and says that if technology is real, then so are his nightmares. All of a sudden, he is engulfed in blue flames and transforms into the evil sorcerer, Mum-Ra. Jaga, fearful, commands his clerics to attack Mum-Ra. However, they are easily defeated. With the help of one of his clerics, Jaga barely escapes the attack. Panthro's transformation into Mum-Ra twists the narrative, revealing the true enemy, while Claudus's final pride in Lion-O cements their bond amidst tragedy. In the original 1985 Thundercats, Mum-Ra was always the ancient, ever-present villain, never disguised as a trusted ally like Panthro, a dramatic shift unique to the 2011 reboot. The scene cuts to Lion-O and Tigra by their father's side. They are captured by the lizard soldiers. Thundera burns as Mum-Ra and the other soldiers rejoice. After losing everything, Lion-O and Tigra are seen inside prison cells. Lion-O blames himself and reveals to Tigra that he saw Mum-Ra in his vision when he wielded the sword. Meanwhile, one of the lizard men that Lion-O saved approaches them to give them their food. A desperate Lion-O reminds him of the mercy he showed. The lizard man walks away, instructing him to just eat his supper. As Lion-O stares at the food, he notices something twinkling. He realizes that his actions paid off, as the lizard man had left him the key to his prison cell. Lion-O's guilt over his unspoken vision contrasts with the faint hope sparked by the lizard man's key, proving his earlier mercy wasn't in vain, even as Thundera crumbles around them. In the following scene, we can see that Jaga and his cleric have been captured. Mum-Ra sits on the king's throne. He reveals to Jaga that the stone in the sword is his. However, the minute he touches the sword, he gets electrocuted. He desires to have the stone back. Jaga states that an ancient spell prevents the sword from being touched by the hands of evil. Mum-Ra urges Jaga to remove the spell. On Jaga's refusal, Mum-Ra uses his sorcery to torture him. At that moment, Lion-O and Tigra come to his rescue. They free Jaga with the new technology. Lion-O then rushes in and grabs the sword. As he wields the sword, a streak of red lightning attacks Mum-Ra, and he is thrown backward. Just when Mum-Ra is about to retaliate, the sun comes out and his cloak starts burning. Finally, the other cleric is freed by Tigra and is revealed to be Chitara. Mum-Ra's thwarted grab for the sword stone and Lion-O's lightning counterstrike highlight the weapon's power against evil, while Chitara's reveal as the cleric adds a thrilling twist, tying the team together as Thundera's hope rekindles. While they are attacked by the lizard soldiers, Chitara grabs the king's gauntlet and they escape. Jaga leads the way to help them escape, while Mum-Ra sends soldiers after them. In the process, Jaga is injured. He leads them to a room where they can buy some time. He then instructs Lion-O to hold out his left arm as he puts the gauntlet. At last, he declares Lion-O to be the Lord of the Thundercats. Jaga chooses to stay behind to buy them time to reach safety. His final instruction to Lion-O is to find the Book of Omens, as it contains all the answers he seeks. As they escape, Jaga is struck down. The episode finally ends with Lion-O, Tigra, Chitara and Snarf staring down at the fallen kingdom. Episode 3. Ramlac Rising. This episode begins with Lion-O carving the emblem of the Thundercats. He is with Tigra and Chitara as they pay homage to King Claudus. He suggests that they follow the lizard's trail to reach Mum-Ra's lair. Hearing this, Chitara reminds him of Jaga's advice, to look for the Book of Omens first. Tigra also agrees with her. However, Lion-O retorts that his father would bring them justice first by burying Mum-Ra. They realise that he is angry and agree to follow him, as he is their king now. We see the poor children again. They immediately recognise Lion-O, introducing themselves as Wily Kit and Wily Cat. They insist on following him. Lion-O's push for vengeance over Jaga's advice creates tension, but Wily Kit and Wily Cat's arrival might balance things out. Will his quest for justice succeed, or is it a trap? After much travelling, they arrive at a desert. Here they realise that they have lost the trail. Despite this, Lion-O is determined to move forward. At that moment, Snarf notices something. They realise that he has found the Sand Sea. Lion-O suspects that Mum-Ra's lair is on the other side. As they go nearer, they notice food floating on the waves of the Sand Sea. They rush to it and eat the food. Suddenly, a net ensnares them, and they're hoisted aboard a ship crewed by fishermen. Soon we learn that this ambush was set up by the fisherman, Captain Cornelius Tunar, modelled after Moby Dick's Captain Ahab, orchestrated this to hunt the Ramlac, a nod seen in his line, "For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee." As the captain interrogates them, a giant tentacled sea monster erupts from the Sand Sea, and attacks the ship. While Tuna's crew is captured and dragged into the sea, we learn that this is the monster called Ramlac, and Tuna has been obsessed with hunting the creature. Amidst the chaos, the Thundercats escape and assist the captain in his hunt. The monster escapes as the captain vows to follow it forever. He then instructs his crew to treat them as equals. Here, Ramlac's look channels the legendary Kraken, reimagined with a gritty, sand-swept edge for Third Earth's wild terrain. In a conversation with Lion-O, Tuna reveals that he lost his leg in a battle with Ramlac, along with their Oasis hold. Lion-O can relate to the captain's rage at having everything taken away. Tuna states that they would have defeated Ramlac long back if it were not for insubordination. Suddenly, Lion-O notices the monster amidst the storm. Lion-O and the captain chase after the monster despite the storm. Tigra and Chitara warn them that the ship will not survive the storm. However, they ignore all warnings. They seem to enjoy the thrill of the chase. Their reckless chase is a wild ride, but defying the storm might cost them more than they bargained for. Just then, the monster emerges out of the sea. The entire crew and the Thundercats are busy attacking it. The captain instructs them to aim for the head. The monster engulfs the ship in its tentacles and breaks it in half. At this moment, Lion-O realizes that the captain is ready to sacrifice his crew just for revenge. As the crew struggles, Tuna makes a final suicidal charge at the Ramlac and is dragged underwater to his death. Lion-O, seeing the crew in peril, abandons his revenge to save them instead, pulling them to safety as the ship sinks. Just when they think that they are safe, Ramlac resurfaces and swallows Lion-O whole. Inside its belly, Lion-O uses the Sword of Omens to slice his way out, killing the beast. As it dies, the water it had consumed spills out, restoring the fisherman's oasis in the sand. The Sword of Omens slicing Ramlac from the inside echoes a classic heroic trope, think Jonah and the whale, but with a Thundercats twist. The fishermen thank him for saving them. Finally, Lion-O and the rest decide to leave in search of the Book of Omens. He also agrees to let the children come along as they have proved that they can take care of themselves. The episode ends with Mum-Ra and Groon torturing Jaga. They demand the Book of Omens location. When Jaga resists, Mum-Ra traps him in a magical lantern. The lantern emits a beam of light, pointing toward the book's location, setting up a race against the Thundercats. Episode 4, Song of the Petalars. This episode opens with General Slythe and other lizard men looking for the Thundercats. They deduce that the cats are only half a day away. In the next scene, we can see that the Thundercats are briefly at rest. While Wily Cat teases Wily Kit, Chitara and Lion-O share a moment of quiet companionship. Yet, Lion-O's demeanour is sombre as he reminisces about his father and the mission. Suddenly, Snarf leaps onto him, breaking his chain of thought. Chitara realises that he is trying to alert them of something. She jumps to a tree and sees the entire lizard army. Tigra urges them to stand and fight. However, Lion-O feels that the situation is hopeless. He orders them to retreat to Briar Woods. The group reluctantly follows, navigating the treacherous thorns as the lizards close in. This scene reflects the Thundercats, 2011, reboot's emphasis on deeper emotional arcs and character growth. Lion-O's somber reflection and initial hesitation showcase his struggle with self-doubt, a recurring theme in the series that highlights his journey from an impulsive youth to a wise leader. When they go deeper into the forest, they encounter the Petalars. Lion-O meets Emric, a Petalar who idolizes him and wants to know his kind. They explain that they came from a faraway land called the Garden, where one day a terrible wind swept the Petalars away to Briarwoods. They have been stranded for generations. Still, all hope is not lost. They show the cats a map and explain that they are looking for the Cliff of Winds to return to the Garden. Lion-O, moved by their plight, agrees to help them. Lion-O's empathy shines here. Teaming up with the Petalars feels like a noble detour. But will it stretch the Thundercats too thin? During their journey, Emric is snatched up by a vicious bird. Lion-O runs after the bird to save Emric. At some point, the bird tosses Emric away. When Lion-O finds Emric, he is no longer a small child. He has grown into a teenager. They realize that the Petalars' entire lifespan unfolds in a single day, though they perceive it as a full lifetime. Meanwhile, General Slythe orders 3 lizards to go into the woods to find them. As the Petalars and the Thundercats travel by following the map, Lion-O questions the point of life and struggles philosophically. This time, Emmerich breaks his reverie, and Lion-O realizes that he has grown into an adult. The Petalars' rapid aging was inspired by real-world mayflies, which live for just a day, packing a lifetime into mere hours. Emmerich, with his optimism, motivates him, and they reach what they believe is the gate to the Cliff of Wind, only to find no cliff, just a dead end. Suddenly, Lion-O is shot in the back. 3 lizards ambush them, overpowering the Thundercats momentarily. The Petalars, grateful, rush to intervene using their small size and leaf-like weapons to stun the lizards. The Thundercats rally and defeat the attackers, but the victory is short-lived. Outside, Slythe grows impatient and orders the lizards to set fire to the briar woods. The fire spreads rapidly, creating a dire situation. However, the flames generate an updraft, which the Petalars recognize as their chance to ride the winds back to the garden. This sequence highlights the Thundercats' 2011 reboot strength in blending action with emotional depth. The Petalars' bravery and their ability to turn a crisis into an opportunity reinforce the show's theme of hope and resilience. Lion-O's growing connection with Emmerich also adds a poignant layer, showcasing his development as a compassionate leader. As the Petalars prepare to leave, Emmerich, now much older, thanks Lion-O for their friendship. He teaches Lion-O that the quality of life is more important than how long one lives. The Thundercats, inspired, watch the Petalars float away. As the forest burns, Lion-O decides to confront the lizard army. He raises the Sword of Omens and emits the cat signal. The Thundercats charge out of the woods, engaging the lizards in a fierce battle. Lion-O cuts down a chameleon lizard, showcasing his growing confidence, though they're soon outnumbered and surrounded. Just as all seems lost, a mysterious tech roars onto the scene, blasting through lizard war machines. General Slythe and the other lizards barely escape. A mysterious figure emerges from the vehicle. When asked, he says his name is Panthro. The lizards retreat and the Thundercats are saved, ending the episode on a triumphant note. Episode 5. Old Friends. The episode opens with the group watching Panthro mend the Thunder Tank. Lion-O offers his help, stating that he has dabbled in a bit of tech before. He explains that the tank needs Thundrillium, which is found in the Cloud Peak mine. He refuses to let Lion-O join him and reluctantly agrees, only if Lion-O does not slow him down. In the next scene, it is revealed that the Cloud Mine is rich in Thundrillium. General Groon is overlooking the mining of the same. He boasts how he controls Thundrillium, the source of power for Mum-Ra's army. Thundrillium, the powerful resource mined at Cloud Peak, was first introduced in the original Thundercats series as the fuel for the Thunder Tank. In the 2011 reboot, its role expanded to being a key energy source for Mum-Ra's forces, making it a central plot element in the struggle for power. Shortly after, we see the Thundercats travel to the Cloud Mine. During the journey, Chitara informs Panthro of the king's death. Learning about Groon's betrayal, Panthro is not surprised. He reminisces about their time since the first day he met him on a battlefield. The two were seen fighting back-to-back against overwhelming odds. Groon's ambition shines through as he boasts of wanting to be king, while Panthro laughs it off as bravado. In the flashback, Groon's dissatisfaction is obvious as Lion-O is chosen to be the general of the army. In the next part, Panthro instructs the group that they will enter the mine in the dark. However, Lion-O, feeling that his authority was undermined, attacks the lizard guards at the entrance. He soon gets ambushed as more lizards arrive. Panthro rescues him from the situation, and they go inside to look for Thundrillium. Panthro's backstory with Groon adds depth to their rivalry, while Lion-O's impulsive move at the mine shows he's still got some growing to do as a leader. Good thing Panthro's there to bail him out. They watch the lizard's mine, as Panthro gets another flashback after spotting Groon. He remembers Groon laughing maniacally after finding Mum-Ra's lair. As the flashback ends, Panthro instructs the group to follow his lead. The Thundercats launch an attack on the lizards, taking them by surprise. Groon sees Panthro for the first time since their quest. This evokes another memory in Panthro, where we can see how Groon unleashed Mumra. He confronts Groon on his betrayal, and right when they are about to fight, the ground shakes and a mechanical robot appears. Groon takes this opportunity to escape, while the robot attacks Panthro. Lion-O wields his sword and immediately rushes to battle. He defeats the robot. His swordsmanship impresses Panthro. The battle makes the mine collapse. Chitara, with her speed, manages to get some Thundrillium before they escape. Once they reach safety, Panthro acknowledges Lion-O as his king. Episode 6. Journey to the Tower of Omens. This episode starts with Lion-O trying to activate the sword's sight beyond sight. However, he fails. Watching him, Panthro and Tigra find it hard to believe that he will lead them. Nonetheless, Chitara reassures them and tells them to trust Lion-O. While Lion-O tries harder, Mumra watches him, desiring the Eye of Thunder. He gets a flashback of when the eye was procured. The scene changes back to the Thundercats. Chitara advises Lion-O to relax while trying to see the sight beyond sight. At the same time, Wily Cat and Wily Kit question why the Book of Omens is so difficult to find. Chitara states that the book was hidden with the intention to never be found. It holds valuable information about their past and the keys to the future. Some believe that the book is more valuable than the sword. Hence, most animals are out to get it. The king at the time, worried that it would fall into the wrong hands, commanded the clerics to hide it. Not only did the clerics seal it, but they also sealed themselves, taking the location of the book to their graves. Suddenly, Snarf stumbles upon the lion's den. The group, surprised, heads right into it. They come across a door with many keys. As Chitara tries to open the door with a key, the path leading to the door starts breaking away. They all cling to Panthro as they are about to fall. Wily Kit climbs Panthro and picks the lock of the door instead of the key. Wily Kit's quick thinking with the lockpick steals the show, proving the twins are more than just tag-alongs in this tense cliffhanger. After they go inside, they realise that the path is filled with traps. One wrong step can get them killed. Chitara explains that the entire place is a death trap. With her speed, she shows the rest how to get past the traps. She manages to open the next door. As they cross the door, the scene changes. We can see General Slythe talking to Jugger. He suspects that Jaga is leading them on a wrong path. Jaga states that Mumra's spell is too powerful for him to trick them. Suddenly, Mumra arrives. He asserts that the location of the book has been passed over generations to the head clerics. He forces Jaga to lead the way again, but this time, he goes alone as he finds the lizard army to be incompetent. Mumra's frustration with the lizards and his reliance on Jaga's knowledge ramps up the tension, hinting at some serious stakes for the book's location. Meanwhile, inside the temple, the Thundercats find a well filled with gold coins. When the children try to grab the treasure, the room starts flooding. They plan to let the water rise so they can float up to the exit. Unfortunately, Panthro does not know how to swim. Lion-O rushes to him as he starts drowning. Since Panthro was already too deep, Lion-O could not reach him. The rest of the group tries to open the exit, but fails. At the same time, Panthro, deep underwater, spots another exit. He manages to escape and help the others out. When they see the exit, they believe that they have almost found the book. Panthro's unexpected struggle with swimming in this flooded temple scene is a rare vulnerability for the tough Thundercat, contrasting his usual strength and mechanical prowess. This moment echoes a similar twist in the original Thundercat series, where his fear of water was subtly hinted at, but never fully explored, making this a clever nod for long-time fans. Going through the last door, they realise that they are on a cliff, leading to a vast expanse of just forest. Lion-O almost loses hope, but when he uses the sword to see the sight beyond sight, he notices a switch below the cliff. As Tigra presses the switch with his whip, the Tower of Omens appears out of the waterfall. Just when they reach the tower, Mumra appears. They discover that Jaga is alive in Mumra's jar. When Mumra throws the jar away, Chitara rushes to catch it. Mumra then hits her with a bolt of purple lightning, and she is thrown at the wall. Despite waiting to help Chitara, Lion-O and Tigra run up the tower to get the book first. Panthro holds Mumra back. Just when their fight begins, Mum-Ra transforms into his true form, for which Panthro is no match. Hence, Panthro is easily defeated. He then flies up to catch up with the brothers. Tigra tries to stop Mum-Ra. However, he too is defeated easily and starts falling. Panthro, who was climbing the tower, manages to catch Tigra. Although grateful that his brother is saved, Lion-O continues to move forward. At the top of the tower, he finds the book. Just then, Mum-Ra reaches too, and Lion-O wields his word to fight him. Chitara, now recovered, rushes up the tower at great speed. As the fight between Mum-Ra and Lion-O rages on, she manages to land a kick on Mum-Ra. Unfortunately, she is struck down and is almost about to fall. Lion-O rushes after her but is struck by Mum-Ra. Watching Lion-O suffer, Jagga realizes that his help is needed. With the little life left in him, he shines a light at Mum-Ra. This causes Mum-Ra to shrink into a raven and escape, promising to return for the book. The Thundercats gather again and realize that Jagga has sacrificed himself. Just then, a speck of light coming out of Jagga's jar releases the book. The episode ends with Lion-O opening the book and realizing that the book is blank. Episode 7. Legacy. The episode opens with Lion-O trying to read the book. While fidgeting with the book, he is struck by lightning and is thrown backward and is unconscious. His spirit then gets sucked into the book. Inside the book, he meets Jagga, who tells him that the book is neither magic nor technology. It is a fusion of both. He explains that life and death and reality are different inside the book. To find the answers to his questions, Lion-O must relive the events of the past through his ancestor Leo. The concept of the Book of Omens as a blend of magic and technology is a unique twist introduced in the 2011 Thundercats reboot. In the original 1980s series, the book was purely mystical, but this fusion reflects the reboot's theme of balancing ancient lore with advanced tech, giving Lion-O's journey through his ancestor Leo a fresh, multi-dimensional spin. Through Leo, he realizes that his ancestor used to serve Mum-Ra. He learns that Mum-Ra aims to amplify the power of the Sword of Plundar, the same sword that was given to Lion-O. Mum-Ra needs the Eye of Thandera to do so. He instructs Leo to locate it. He then instructs Captain Tygus to prepare his fleet to get the stone when they locate it. As he travels deeper inside Mum-Ra's lair, Leo discovers a host of captive animals, monkeys, jackals, and vultures among them. Nods to the original series, Jackalman, Monkeyan, and Vultureman, whose updated counterparts, Kainar, Adicus, and Voltaire, appear later in this reboot. His colleague Panthera explains that these animals will be used to capture the stone. As the animals are led out for the search, a riot erupts. The situation is put under control as she takes away the leaders of the riot in shackles. In the holding room, she releases them. At this moment, Lion-O realizes that Leo was a part of the rebellion which helped to defeat Mum-Ra. They ally together to defeat Mum-Ra. Mum-Ra and Leo observe as the army looks for the stone. He mentions to Leo that the Thundercats impose fear among the other animals and that a rebellion can lead to Leo's downfall. At the same time, Captain Tygus informs them that the stone has been found. Leo is ordered to collect the stone from the captain. Panthera's cunning move to stage the riot and free the leaders reveals the rebellion's depth, tying Leo and Lion-O by extension to a legacy of resistance against Mum-Ra. The tension between Mum-Ra's manipulation and the stone's discovery sets up a juicy conflict, forcing Leo to make a tough decision. Before leaving, Leo is given the sword and gauntlet of Omens. At this moment, Lion-O understands what must be done and leaves for the stone. In their meeting, Tygus is forced to hand over the stone to Leo. He states that Leo will never be able to unify the animals, yet Leo inserts the Warstone in the Sword of Omens. In a flash of light, the stone turns to the Eye of Thandera. The transformation of the Warstone into the Eye of Thandera in the Sword of Omens is a pivotal moment unique to the 2011 Thundercats reboot. In the original series, the Eye was simply a mystical gem tied to the sword from the start. But here, its origin as a Warstone adds a layer of history and power struggles, connecting Leo's rebellion to Lion-O's destiny. On meeting Mum-Ra, Leo informs him that he has the stone. For Mum-Ra, the betrayal comes as a surprise. However, he reminds Leo of the other stones which he had already obtained. These stones are embedded in Mum-Ra's gauntlet. Mum-Ra then wields the Sword of Plundar, and a fight ensues. After a short brawl, the stone falls out of the gauntlet of Plundar. This enrages Mum-Ra, and by harnessing the power of the other stones, he reveals the armor of Plundar. Leo is easily overpowered and is thrown backward. He pulls himself up, and the battle continues. The power of the Sword of Omens dominates Mum-Ra and sends him flying to the edge of the bridge. At this point, Leo releases the prisoners and unites them together. Suddenly, Mum-Ra appears again and strikes him. He realizes that he still has the other stone in his hand, so he inserts it into his gauntlet. At this point, the armor of Omens forms around his body. With the power of the Omens, Leo manages to defeat Mum-Ra. With one last strike to the gauntlet of Plundar, the other stones fall out, and Mum-Ra turns back into a bag of bones. Leo takes the other stones and inserts them into his gauntlet. As the fleet rejoices, Panthera realizes that their ship is heading for a crash on Third Earth. Panthera's last-second realization about the crash adds a wild twist, keeping the stakes sky-high even in victory. Amid the turmoil, Mum-Ra activates his sarcophagus and locks himself inside before Leo can intervene. Panthera destroys the control panel, ensuring that no one else can unlock the Wicked Lord's crypt. As the ship falls and the crew braces for impact, Lion-O separates from Leo and meets Jaga again. Through his experience, he realizes that Mum-Ra is after the stones and that the Book of Omens is the guide. Finally, Jaga reminds Lion-O that it will take more than just the stones to defeat Mum-Ra and that he must unite the animals. As Lion-O regains consciousness, he sees the Thundercats of his era hovering over him, their faces filled with worry. He rises to his feet and declares that he understands his next course of action.
But if you can bend with the wind, you'll never break!
Episode 8: The Duelist and the Drifter. The episode opens with Tigra and Panthro trying to set up the Book of Omens in the Thunder Tank. Meanwhile, Lion-O arrives at a town, looking for supplies with Snarf. At the gate, he meets a rabbit who tells him that it is a swordsman town and warns him to turn away. Despite this, Lion-O goes to a vendor for supplies and learns that Thandarian currency is not accepted there. The vendor suggests that to get money, he must participate in the sword competition. Lion-O participates in the competition and wins it. With the money, he buys the supplies from the vendor. Here, he has an encounter with the Duelist. The Duelist is a professional swordsman who collects the swords of his opponents after defeating them. He challenges Lion-O. While Lion-O practices for his upcoming duel, he meets the Drifter again. The Drifter expects Lion-O to lose his sword. He tests Lion-O to slice his reed in half. However, Lion-O fails. Watching him, the Drifter remarks that a weakness can be turned into a strength. Then, he reminisces about the original owner of the sword that the Duelist uses. It is called the Sword of Hatanzo. He explains how the maker of the sword lost it to the Duelist. Originally, the story called for the Duelist to battle a father, whom he kills to get his sword, with his young son then picking up his father's sword, charging at the Duelist, and getting killed as well, though this scene was cut as it was thought too harsh for the show, with the concept found on Dan Norton's DeviantArt page. Lion-O realizes that the Drifter is the sword maker. He asks the Drifter for help, but the Drifter states that the Sword of Hatanzo is unbeatable. Subsequently, in the duel, Lion-O loses the Sword of Omens to the Duelist. On meeting the Drifter again, he requests him to make another sword. Although the Drifter initially refuses, he ends up helping Lion-O by forging another sword. Lion-O challenges the Duelist again in a nearby tavern. This time, however, the condition is different. If Lion-O wins, the Duelist must give up all his swords. In the case of the latter, Lion-O must give up his life. In their rematch, Lion-O tries his best to evade the Duelist's attacks until his sword is broken. Drawing on the Drifter's words that willows are weak, Lion-O applies this insight to outmaneuver the Duelist and strip him of his weapons. After winning, the Drifter tells Lion-O that he already has everything inside him to beat the Duelist. When the Duelist tries to stab Lion-O, the Drifter steps in, knocks him down and kicks him out of town. Before they split up, the Drifter promises Lion-O he'll give the swords back to the people they belong to. Lion-O meets up with Panthro and Tigra again, who asks why he took so long. The episode ends with Lion-O reuniting with the Thundercats. Episode 9. Burbles. In this episode, the Thundercats are in a dire situation, much like in the original Thundercats series episode also called Burbles, which featured the Robert Burbles, Trollocs and Giantaurs. It opens with Panthro trying to fix the Thunder tank. They have no food and they are forced out in the rain as Panthro's attempts to fix the tank fails. Then they all rest under the mushrooms. As they wake up, they find a tarp sheltering them and baskets of candy fruits laid out for them to eat. Curious about their benefactors, the Thundercats hide to observe. Small robotic bears appear to tinker with the tank. Panthro, misunderstanding their intentions, comes out of hiding as the rest of the group follows him. They learn that these robotic bears are the Robert Burbles. The Robert Burbles were inspired by the teddy bear-like Ewoks from Star Wars. In both the 1980s series and this 2011 reboot episode, these small robotic bears serve as unexpected allies, bringing their knack for technology and kindness to aid the Thundercats in a pinch, complete with their signature candy fruits. The Burbles then fix the Thunder tank for them. Shortly after, Bill the Burble invites them to the Burble village. In the village, Bill introduces the Thundercats to his wife, Robert Bella, and son, Robert Bebo. Suddenly, the alarms go off, and the Thundercats look around in confusion as the Burbles go into hiding. A steampunk tank bursts into the village, driven by the Conqueror, a robotic slave trader. Bill reveals that the Conqueror captures Burbles to sell for their technical skills. This prompts the Thundercats into action. However, the Conqueror outsmarts them, captures Bill the Burbles family, and escapes. In an attempt to save his family, Robert Bill gets injured. The Thundercats jumping into action only to get outsmarted shows the stakes are high, and Bill's injury adds a gut punch to their rescue mission. Shortly after, Panthro and the other Burbles fix him. Lion-O, Chitara, Tigra, and a repaired Bill decide to rescue the captured Burbles, leaving Panthro and the kittens to guard the village. Bill takes them to the place where the Conqueror is auctioning off the slaves. The cats sneak in, bidding on the captives with a bluff, before signalling the attack. They free the Burbles and a huge, white, ferocious cat, Snow Meow, who disrupts the buyers. The group escapes with the rescued Burbles as the Conqueror vows revenge. Back in the village, the cats and the Burbles work together to build traps, catapults, and a mucus cannon, transforming the pacifist Burbles into fighters. As the Conqueror returns with Trollocs and Giantaurs, Lion-O sends a signal to the Burbles. Together they fight back, the kittens pelt enemies with candy fruit, and Panthro and Bill in the Thunder tank blast the Conqueror's vehicle. Lion-O confronts the Conqueror directly, disarming him with the Sword of Omens after a brief duel. The Conqueror and the others flee after being defeated. In the end, the Burbles rebuild their village, and Panthro and Bill share a hug. Episode 10. Sight Beyond Sight. In this episode, Panthro informs the group that the Book of Omens has detected one of the magical stones while driving through the desert. The group decides to race to the stone. During the race, Wily Cat in the Thunder tank accidentally sets off the missiles which they all manage to evade. Tigra is the first to arrive. They all reach outside a giant temple, where they encounter a group of meditating elephants. Interrupting their meditation, they inquire about the stone. Burn the elephant is forgetful and is unable to help them. However, when Annette arrives, he informs them that the Spirit Stone was once here, or still is. Since their memory is weak, they do not know. The meditating elephants, including Aburn and Annette, are a nod to the original Thundercats series, where the elephant village first appeared in The Ghost Warrior, Season 1, Episode 14. Their forgetfulness and connection to mystical artifacts like the Spirit Stone carry over into the 2011 reboot, blending humour with their enigmatic wisdom, a quirky trait that's become a fan favourite. Annette advises Lion-O to look for the stone through the sword's power. At first, he fails, but then Annette tells him to be in harmony with the sword. Lion-O fails as he is unable to concentrate due to the noise. Annette informs him that the noise is from insects like wraiths who are after their harvest. When these wraiths attack the village and try to steal the harvest, the Thundercats help to chase them out. Although most of the harvest is gone, Annette informs them that there is enough left to survive. He tells Lion-O that one must face hardships in life and instructs him to keep practicing. Unlike the elephants, Lion-O vows to get the stolen harvest back. Shortly after, Wheelie Kit and Wily Cat play music together with the elephants. At the same time, while climbing a cliff, Lion-O is attacked by the wraiths. To protect himself, he dives into a hole in the cliff. This hole happens to be the hive of the wraiths. He gets out and seals the hole to prevent the wraiths from getting out. This awakens the stone giant. That night, on returning, Lion-O gets to know from Annette that the noise of the wraiths was keeping the stone giant away. He says that due to this, the harmony of the universe is now out of tune. While the elephants meditate, the Thundercats fight the stone giant. Soon they realize that it has the ability to reassemble itself. The stone giant traps the Thundercats and then starts attacking the elephants' village, gobbling up their homes. Wily Kit teams up with the elephants to play really loud music, which makes the stone giant fall apart. As the elephants fix their village, Annette makes Lion-O try his harmony training again. This time, Lion-O uses the Sword of Omens to sense a magical stone in a nearby hut. When they don't find the stone there, Annette tells the Thundercats to head to the Forest of Magi ore to boost the Sword of Omens' power. Episode 11. The Forest of Magi ore. When the Thundercats get to the Forest of Magi ore, Lion-O tries to use the sword to get another clue for locating the stone. Failing, he is confused and questions if coming to the forest is of any value. Chitara and Tigra reassure him. The forest is magical and Chitara senses that there is a gloomy presence there. The kittens have some fun banter about ghosts and spirits in the forest. They, along with Snarf, are sent to get firewood. After the trio come back, they light a fire and settle down to rest. Lion-O chats with Tigra, complaining about how the Sword of Omens isn't working right and doubts if he was the right pick to be king. In this conversation, it is hinted that they both like Chitara and that there might be a future fight over her. As he tosses some wood into the fire, he accidentally lets out a bunch of ghosts. As the ghosts surround them, the Thundercats try to fight them off. However, they fail to win until a group called the Wood Forgers shows up, using their paper magic to save the day. Impressed by their magic, they introduce themselves, and the Wood Forgers lead them to safety. They take them to the School of Paper Arts. Here, they teach students various disciplines of wood forging. Their mission is to protect the ones who need it. The headmaster tells them about a bird monster named Viragor. He states that the forest is enchanted and that they harness its power through paper to protect everyone from Viragor. He suspects that the monster will try to use that power for its evil plans. The Wood Forgers had built a paper mill to prevent just that from happening. Shortly after, the headmaster teaches Lion-O that sometimes it is better to step back to see the bigger picture. Just then, Viragor attacks and starts destroying the school. The headmaster and the other Wood Forgers use their magic to contain the monster. However, they fail. Lion-O steps up and tries to activate his sword. When that does not work, and Viragor is about to attack, Chitara saves him from harm's way. In this process, she loses her staff to the bird, and Tigra rescues her. When Lion-O tries to pitch in, he gets nabbed and is taken deeper into the forest. He tries to get the sword working again, then gives up and drops it. Viragor swoops in and grabs him, but instead of chowing down, they start talking. Viragor explains he's actually the forest's protector, and the Wood Forgers are the ones destroying it. Lion-O also figures out the spirits were friendly, which is why the sword did not work, as it only fights evil. Riding Viragor back, Lion-O tells the Thundercats the truth, upsetting the Wood Forgers. A fight breaks out. The Thundercats fight the Wood Forgers, while Lion-O and Virago chase after Zig, the headmaster. They fight in the sky, and after a bit, Lion-O and Viragor crash into the forest. Lion-O finally gets the sword to activate. After Lion-O beats Zig, Viragor takes charge of the school. In the end, Chitara gets a new staff from an ancient tree and humbly accepts it. While Lion-O masters sight beyond sight, spotting the first spirit stone in a portal at the Elephant Village hut. Episode 12. Into the Astral Plane. This episode begins with the Thundercats discussing the astral planes as they return to the Elephant Village. As Chitara acknowledges Lion-O for getting a hang of the sword, we can see Tigra getting jealous. He believes that, like the sword, Lion-O does not deserve her. In a flashback, we see how Tigra first met her. When they were much younger, he was enamored by her and had helped her find the cleric's residence. Although fascinated by her speed, he watched her get rejected by Yaga from joining the clerics as she failed in a test of agility since she lacked patience at the time. The flashback ends when they are just about to reach the village. From a distance, they see dark, black smoke coming out of the village. Lion-O uses his sword to see what happened. He learns that Groon and the lizards have found the hut and have taken over the village. The subtle rivalry over Chitara adds a personal stake to their leadership struggles, while the sudden attack by Groon and the lizards keeps the stakes high and the pace relentless. Meanwhile, at the village, unable to find the stone and frustrated by the feeble memory of the elephants, Groon gets impatient. He warns the elephants that they have till the third moon rises to remember where the stone is. The Thundercats observe the village from a distance. Lion-O decides to wait till nightfall. He wants to use stealth and approach the situation delicately as Groon has taken the elephants hostage. However, Tigra disagrees. He wants to attack immediately using the Thunder Tank. Surprised by Tigra's plan, Chitara states that stealth has always been his best suit and agrees with Lion-O. This prompts another flashback. He remembers how he gave her a flower as she waited at the gates for Jaga to take her back in to become a cleric. He watched her secretly till Jaga finally took her in, believing that she had learnt patience. Tigra's flower gesture in the flashback draws inspiration from classic romantic tropes in adventure tales, symbolizing his unspoken devotion, a rare, vulnerable moment for the typically stoic warrior. After this, the scene shifts back to the present. While the Thundercats are creeping through the bushes, Lion-O grumbles about how Tigra has been competing with him over everything since they were kids, though he's also concerned about him. Chitara tries to calm him down, saying tigers are just full of pride, but Lion-O insists it's more than that. He feels a strange darkness in his older brother. Chitara suggests it might come from Tigra always being stuck in his younger brother's shadow. The Thundercats take the lizard guards by surprise as Wily Kit and Wily Cat watch Groon interrogate the elephants. As Groon threatens to harm a burn, Wily Kit accidentally blows their cover while trying to intervene. To save the hostages, the Thundercats have to drop their weapons. Groon then demands Lion-O reveal the stone's location. Lion-O sarcastically asks if he has checked the hut. This scene amps up the stakes and highlights the Thundercats' dynamics. Lion-O's sarcastic jab at Groon shows his growing confidence, while the tension with Tigra adds juicy drama. Chitara's insight hints at future growth. Wily Kit's fumble keeps them vulnerable, setting up a tense, fast-paced cliffhanger. Meanwhile, Tigra sneaks off unnoticed. Groon repeats his threat against the elephants, and Lion-O admits the stone is in the astral plane, using the Sword of Omens to open a portal when pressed. Groon double-crosses them, ordering the lizards to kill the elephants anyway, but before that can happen, Tigra blasts in with the Thunder Tank, firing missiles that scatter the lizards. Chitara's stunned, and Panthros ticked off that Tigra's driving his tank without asking. In the chaos, the Thundercats grab their weapons and strike back. After taking a solid thrashing, Groon sees he's outmatched and escapes. After the lizards flee, the Thundercats gather in front of the astral plane portal. Annette, the elephant, cautions Lion-O that the astral plane is a tricky and dangerous spot, urging him to watch his step while hunting for the stone. Chitara gives Lion-O a quick peck on the cheek for good luck, which ticks off Tigra. He insists on going too, and when he won't back down, Lion-O agrees. Tigra jumps into the portal first. Right as Lion-O's about to follow, Annette pulls him aside with a serious warning. He's just had a vision that by the end of tomorrow, Tigra will betray Lion-O. Lion-O brushes it off, saying that even though they clash, Tigra wouldn't stab him in the back. Aburn chimes in, saying Annette's visions are always spot on, leaving Lion-O uneasy as he steps into the portal. Unseen by the group, Mum-Ra, disguised as a raven and spying the whole time, sneaks into the portal after them. Episode 13. Between Brothers. The episode begins with Panthro noticing that Groon and his army have surrounded the village. He informs the others as they wait for Lion-O and Tigra to come back. As they suspect that the brothers are in trouble, Annette tells them that although he does sense a dark presence, their real challenge will emerge when Lion-O will feel betrayed by Tigra. In the astral plane, Tigra suggests that if he finds the stone first, it will be his. Lion-O refutes this and says that the stone will choose its owner and that the stones are his responsibility anyway. Mum-Ra can be seen following the brothers. He plans to turn them against each other. The scene shifts back to the other Thundercats. Panthro narrates the story of how Groon lost his tooth by using it as a weapon to fight against Spidera. This act saved their lives at the time. Groon's tooth story is a subtle callback to the original series, where his saber-toothed design was iconic, though the Spidera fight adds a fresh twist to his lore. Back in the astral plane, Lion-O accuses Tigra of being jealous. At that time, their surroundings change and they witness a memory of their past. The memory was of their trip to the Forbidden Ruins. In this memory, Lion-O discovers that Tigra intentionally broke the log while Lion-O was walking across it, not that it just snapped by accident as he'd always believed. Due to this, Lion-O had fallen into the deep well. Meanwhile, Groon, in conversation with Slythe, questions Mum-Ra's orders of waiting and thinks of betraying him. In the astral world, Lion-O feels betrayed and the memory starts a heated argument between them. At this point, the astral plane conjures up a duplicate sword of Omens for Tigra. Fueled by his resentment over Lion-O getting the throne, sword, and Chitara's affection, Tigra challenges Lion-O to a duel. In the village, to prevent the army from escalating, Panthro uses landmines to slow them down, yet they manage to get past the landmines and surround the hut. Yet, Chitara and Panthro manage to hold them off. Shortly after, Panthro and Groon fight one-on-one as the elephants meditate. In the astral plane, the duel ends when Tigra knocks Lion-O into a pit, a blatant nod to the movie 300, where the scene parodies King Leonidas's iconic "This is Sparta" moment. Yet we see how Tigra, as a kid, ran for help after Lion-O fell into a pit, not abandoning him. Similarly, now he vows he'll never betray Lion-O and pulls him out. They figure out Mum-Ra's been messing with their heads. Just then, Mum-Ra shows his true self and attacks. Back in the village, the elephants finally decide to help and manage to drive away most of the lizards, including General Slythe. However, during the fight in the astral plane, Lion-O realizes the stone they're after has been right beneath them all along, keeping the astral plane stable. He inserts the stone in his gauntlet and uses its power to defeat Mum-Ra. Yet, the astral plane starts falling apart around them. As Lion-O and Tigra dash out of the collapsing astral plane, Panthro's showdown with Groon gets disrupted when the portal starts dragging them both toward it. Groon latches onto Panthro's wrists, desperately trying to make Panthro help him break. At this point, Panthro snaps back, reminding that taking one's enemy down is more important. With Groon still clinging to him, the portal shuts, locking Groon inside and cutting off Panthro's arms just below the shoulders. Moments later, the hut blows up and Mum-Ra, in his, flies off just in time to dodge the explosion. Much later, they all are seen celebrating. In this scene, Snarf comes in with a spoon for Panthro and acts like a nursemaid. This is a reference to the 80s Snarf character. Away from the party, Chitara walks up to Tigra and admits she feels bad for stirring up some of the tension between him and Lion-O. She apologizes for not being upfront about how she feels. Tigra assumes she's picked Lion-O, but Chitara surprises him by saying she actually chose years ago. She explains that a flower he gave her back then, called the Day Astrid, helped her get through her patience test with the clerics. Each petal held a day's worth of life. Chitara shares that she ate those petals to keep going during her wait and pulls out the flower's heart, which she's kept all this time. She confesses that his kindness kept her from quitting, and since she never really thanked him, she hugs him tight and they share a deep, heartfelt kiss. Meanwhile, Lion-O spots them from a distance and is totally stunned just as the evening bell rings. Episode 14. New alliances. This is the first episode in the series that starts with a recap of the previous episode. It opens with Wily Kit and Wily Cat hoverboarding down a ravine. They suddenly come across a group of lizard men who chase after them. Just when they think that they have trapped the kittens, the Thundercats appear and capture them after a short scuffle. Lion-O gives these men a choice, whether to return to their families or to the battlefield. He intends to unite the cats and the lizards against Mum-Ra. After a short discussion, they choose to return to their families and leave their weapons behind. In the next scene, they are back in the Burble village. Ro Bear Bill and other Burbles are seen to be working on Panthro's new arms. Soon, Bill announces that he is done. Panthro, removing the cloth from his hand, is livid to see Burble arms, while Lion-O finds it cute. In Mum-Ra's lair, he reprimands General Slythe over his poor leadership. He states that he wants soldiers who are thirsty for blood and not treasure. He shows the images of Atticus and Kainar, revealing that they have committed crimes far more vile even for him. Expressing his desire to recruit them, Mum-Ra orders Slythe to free them from their incarceration. Atticus and Kainar are the only jackal and monkey to be seen in Mum-Ra's army throughout the series. In the following scene, Atticus is seen being one sentenced to death by the Bird Nation. As the sentence is passed, and Atticus is about to fall to his death, General Slythe saves him, saying that he owes his life to Mum-Ra. Atticus then proceeds to terrorize the birds that had sentenced him. Meanwhile, the Thundercats have managed to make another battalion of the lizard army surrender. Lion-O and Chitara have a conversation where he reveals that he is surprised how he misread all her signals. She informs him that although she was instructed by Jaga to watch over him, her feelings for him were still the same. Yet, her heart belonged to his brother, Tigra. For Lion-O, this changes everything. Back in the Burble village, Bill and the others are still trying to make better arms for Panthro. Meanwhile, in an underground prison in a Third Earth desert, two Mastiff guards wheel a strapped-down Kainar to solitary confinement. Kainar chuckles maniacally, saying they should thank him for cutting the prisoner count by 11, and that the voices in his head will keep him company. As they reach a big metal door, it blasts open with gunfire, revealing Slythe and two armed lizardmen. Slythe offers Kainar freedom to serve Mum-Ra, which Kainar brushes off, until Slythe mentions cats, sparking his interest. Once unshackled, Kainar decides to bid farewell to his pals, referring to the guards, before heading out. At night, Lion-O watches the group of lizards that he had freed earlier, imprisoned by General Slythe. He aims to free them again despite Tigra and Chitara's warning. As the captured lizards trudge through the ravine, with Slythe steering the tank right behind them, Lion-O jumps into their path, ready for a showdown. Slythe sneers that these deserters are even worse than the cats for ditching their duty, but Mum-Ra's latest generals track them down before they could escape too far. At this moment, Lion-O is introduced to Atticus and Kainar for the first time. Chitara and Tigra join in to even the fight. Tigra battles Kainar, while Chitara faces off with Atticus. As the fight goes on, the captured lizards flee. Back in the Burble village, Bill and the others have made new adjustments and have fixed Panthro's arms completely. He tries out his new arm and leaves on his thunder tank to help Lion-O and the others out. Just when the Thundercats are almost overpowered by the generals, there is an explosion. It was Panthro who launched the missiles against them, forcing them to take cover. He then uses his new arms to knock all three generals out and escape with the rest. In the thunder tank, he assures Lion-O, but Lion-O's concerned that with Kainar and Atticus, Mum-Ra's army will be more powerful than before.
Grab him!
Episode 15, Trials of Lion-O Part 1. Lion-O and the Thundercats follow the Book of Omens to a towering cliff, which instructs them to climb up. As they hike the trail, the team grumbles about the dizzying height and how vulnerable they feel. They pause to take a breath, only to be ambushed moments later. Slythe snags the Sword of Omens and the gauntlet in the chaos, but Lion-O wrestles the gauntlet back when Slythe threatens Wily Kit's life. Pushed to the cliff's edge, Lion-O is shoved into the river below by Kainar and Atticus. Slythe mutters They'll need to fish out his body and the gauntlet from the water. Underwater, Lion-O is pinned by rocks and drowns, waking up in the spirit world face to face with Jaga's ghost. Jaga tells him the Spirit Stone deems him worthy of another shot at life if he can pass through some trials. The trials are designed to see if Lion-O can overcome his greatest weaknesses. They are similar to the anointment trials from the original series. These trials will determine if his life is worth saving. He agrees and walks through the portal into his first challenge. Meanwhile, the Thundercats are captured by General Slythe. They all believe that Lion-O is dead. Panthro says that Tigra needs a plan as he is the king now. In the next part, we can see Lion-O out in the slums of Thundera. He faces the spirit versions of Wily Kit and Wily Cat. They say he must swipe a key from them, but they keep popping out holograms to mess with him. After fumbling through the fakes, Lion-O uses his nose to sniff out the real twins, nabbing the key. The twins, impressed, send him off to round 2. Elsewhere, in the spirit world, Lion-O's second trial is a race through a maze. Grabs the key. He gets a head start but keeps hitting dead ends. Chitara zooms past and Lion-O almost quits until he spots a 6-eyed bird. He hops on, flies over the walls and snags the key just before her. Thinking he's done, he's told he's only halfway through the trials. Back in the real world, Tigra taunts Slythe and Atticus until Atticus snaps and lunges at him. The twins seize the moment to break free, freeing the others too. A brawl erupts, but Slythe calls his crew off. They've got the Sword of Omens, and that's enough for Mum-Ra. They ditch the cats, with Tigra swearing to get the sword back. They run after them, determined to keep fighting despite their losses. The episode ends with Lion-O stepping into the next trial. Episode 16. Trials of Lion-O Part 2. This episode opens with the remaining Thundercats observing Mum-Ra's pyramid and planning their attack. They leave to knock out the guards as Wily Kit draws on a rock, leaving behind a trail for Lion-O to follow. In the spirit world, Lion-O faces a strength trial against a spirit Panthro, tasked with knocking him out of a ring before the hourglass empties. Brute force fails, so Lion-O, as his king, orders Panthro to step out of the ring. It works, and Panthro explains that his greatest strength lies in leadership. Meanwhile, the cats knock out the lizard guards and sneak inside. However, the minute they are inside, the alarms start blaring. Chitara asks Tigra for a plan, but he freezes. Then Wily Kit plays her flute and charms the guards, letting the team slip by as the guards shrug off the alert. This episode brilliantly balances Lion-O's spiritual growth with the team's real-world grit. His trial with Panthro is a clever twist on the classic strength isn't just physical lesson, while Wily Kit's flute moment steals the show, proving she's more than just a tag-along. In the spirit world, Lion-O's final trial pits him against a spirit Tigra in an arena tied to a past loss. He must beat Tigra to a bell, but Tigra's taunts test his emotional control. Anger clouds Lion-O, and he loses. It is implied that Lion-O feels that Tigra is more deserving of the throne. Back in the pyramid, the Thundercats crawl through vents and spot Mum-Ra using magic with lizard priests to pry the eye of Thundera from the Sword of Omens. Tigra, against objections, leads an attack to reclaim it, but Mum-Ra overpowers and captures them. Back in the spirit realm, Jaga tells Lion-O he failed the trials and that Mum-Ra has the sword and the cats. Desperate, Lion-O trades his soul for a shot to return, with until sunrise to stop Mum-Ra or face eternal limbo. He agrees and is released from the riverbed. Spotting a pterodactyl, Lion-O rides up the cliff and follows Wily Kit's markings to reach the pyramid. In the cells, Tigra regrets doubting Lion-O's decisions, while Wily Kit clings to hope. After sneaking in, Lion-O tricks Slythe, Kanar, and Atticus into a cell and frees the cats. They're thrilled but surprised to see him alive. He brushes it off, urging them to focus on the sword. As Mum-Ra tries again to extract the eye, Panthro blasts the door open. The cats fight the lizards while Lion-O, wielding the Spirit Stone, battles a transformed Mum-Ra. He reclaims the Sword of Omens, weakens Mum-Ra with its power, and leads the team out. At sunrise, Lion-O says he must leave. Confused, the cats demand answers. Jaga's spirit appears, revealing Lion-O's soul bargain but sparing him death. He says that the trials tested his heart, not just his skills. Given a second chance, Lion-O starts explaining his journey from drowning to triumph as the team listens, stunned. Episode 17, Native Son. While trekking through the snow-capped mountains and looking for a shortcut, Lion-O and Tigra stumble into a cave. In the cave resides the lost Tiger clan. They were shunned by other cats for siding with Mum-Ra long ago. A tiger named Caspin guides them to Javan, the clan leader, and Tigra's real father. When asked, Tigra narrates the story of his arrival to the others. King Claudius and his queen were unable to have children for a very long time. Just when the queen was losing hope, Tigra, just a cub then, arrived at the kingdom on a floating crib. He only had a note which had his name. The king and queen, overjoyed, adopted him. He was the prince until the queen finally conceived. His mother passed away in childbirth when Lion-O was born. Tigra solemnly states that he lost his mother as well as the crown that day. He then questions his father why he was given away if he was the heir to their kingdom. Jawan advises him to stay away as the village has been haunted by an unspeakable evil. However, Tigra refuses and demands an explanation. Tigra's complex backstory adds emotional depth to his character, highlighting his feelings of displacement and rivalry with Lion-O. This version expands significantly on Tigra's origins compared to the original series, providing a richer exploration of family dynamics and identity. As the tigers go into hiding, shadowy creatures appear. Lion-O and Tigra battle these creatures and barely escape. They track down Javan, who insists he sent Tigra away as a baby to shield him. Later, Lion-O confides in Tigra that he can't find the creature's tracks and notices the tigers aren't fighting back. Using the Sword of Omens sight beyond sight, Lion-O uncovers the truth. The shadow creatures are the Tiger clan in disguise. Javan explains that a plague hit the clan and Caspin pushed them to beg the ancient spirits for help. The spirits demanded the sacrifice of the clan's heir, Tigra, but Javan couldn't kill his son, so he floated him off in a balloon instead. This defiance triggered a curse from the spirits, dooming the tigers. Javan urges Lion-O to get Tigra out before the others try to offer him up. Meanwhile, Caspin and some tigers plot to break the curse by sundown. Javan later meets Tigra and harshly tells him to leave, claiming his life with the cats has clouded his mind. As Tigra storms off, Caspin ambushes him with a fake message from Javan, but it's a setup. Javan rushes in to help Lion-O and Tigra, killing Caspin in self-defense. Bleeding out, Caspin snaps that Javan's refusal to sacrifice Tigra cursed them all, and Javan admits his choices have made him a monster. As he speaks, he and the tigers transform into shadow monsters, ordered by the ancient spirits to attack. Lion-O and Tigra fend off the onslaught. When a shadow Javan pins Tigra, he sees the pain his father endured. Tigra forgives him, and that act shatters the curse. The shadow forms melt away, revealing the tigers again. Javan tells Tigra they're stuck between life and death, but now are free to go home. He and the clan fade into nothingness. Tigra picks up Javan's whip as a keepsake, and Lion-O reminds him they still need that mountain shortcut. Episode 18, Survival of the Fittest. In this episode, Panthro and Chitara decide it is time for the kittens to learn how to survive on their own. So they teach Wily Kit and Wily Cat how to hunt. Wily Cat pairs up with Panthro in a hunt for food, while Wily Kit teams up with Chitara. Subsequently, Panthro tries to teach Wily Cat tracking and trapping techniques. At this time, Wily Cat get a flashback remembering how his father was taken away by a tornado while trying to save them. Although Panthro tries to teach him, he helped the grazer escape just when it is about to be trapped. He does so as he couldn't stand the thought of killing an animal. Chitara teaches Wily Kit how to mask her scent, as she remembers how her mother would starve just so they had enough food. We learn that they left their home in search of the City of Treasures. When Chitara tries to teach her how to hunt, she sabotages it so the grazer can escape. Having had enough of the kittens, Panthro and Chitara determined that they would either have to hunt for themselves or not be allowed to return to the Thunder Tank. The kittens find a grazer and follows it. When they see that it has a family, they determine that they cannot hunt it and break the family. Watching the grazers, they get another flashback of their lives in Thandera. In the flashback, they try to return a bag of coins to its owner. However, the owner accuses them of stealing. It was then that they realized that they would have to do anything to survive. As they decide to back and rather be hungry the grazers are assaulted by a huge animal. The kittens, determined not to let the grazers perish, manage to divert and restrain the animal. The twins are then shown a treasure trove of fruit by the grazers, who are grateful for their assistance. Panthro now thinks the two can live independently when they successfully get food and a sweet bounty on their return. Episode 19. The Pit. In this episode, the Thundercats visit the City of Dogs. Once inside, they find Pumera, a cat refugee, being forced to fight at the pit. Panthro, meantime, meets Dobo, an old buddy. Elsewhere, Snarf follows to watch Wilykit and Wilycat as they navigate the streets and look for food. At the same time, the group watches the games at the pit and sees Pumera, the cat, defeat a robot that the last combatant was unable to destroy. When they request Dobo to release Pumera, they discover two things. First, that doing so will need her to win 100 bouts, and second, that Panthro and Dobo are actually old friends. Dobo's decision upsets Lion-O, who sneaks into the cells to free Pumera. However, as he attempts to do so, she starts yelling at him angrily since he left his kingdom and his people behind. Dobo shows up after the guards wake up and takes away the gauntlet and the sword of Omens. He dictates that Lion-O must fight against Pumera as he defied the law. Pumera's anger toward Lion-O adds emotional weight, emphasizing the consequences of his earlier failures as a leader. The confrontation with Dobo also reinforces the series' focus on moral dilemmas and the complexities of justice. We watch as Panthro and the others receive the sword and gauntlet back from Dobo, who also promises them that he will be released if Lion-O prevails in this battle. Tigra and Chitara beg him to let them both go, but Dobo would not budge. Dobo advises Panthro not to let their history influence their decision-making. We also find out that Dobo and Panthro were paired together in the pit as a joke, a thieving dog and a war prisoner cat, but they ended up getting along well and winning fights, making them famous fighters. However, Panthro escaped one night and abandoned Dobo with all of their adversaries. Although Panthro felt bad about his decision, Dobo believed that it was the best thing that had ever happened to him. This incident had given him the courage to take charge of the city. Meanwhile, Wilycat discovers his flink is gone, and Wilykit's flute is also gone. This happens when they are discussing how they are as skilled thieves as Tukit, a fellow pickpocket. In the next scene, Lion-O and Pumera have a conversation where she accuses him of abandoning his people. She blames him for her circumstances. She threatens him, saying that once she is out, she will come for him. During the fight, Lion-O refuses to fight Pumera, while she has no trouble attacking him. Meanwhile, the kittens are told to steal a few things from different animals by Tukit. As a result, they are chased around by these animals. Somehow, they manage to get away with the help of Tukit. The kittens realise that Tukit has not returned their stuff and chases after him as he bids farewell. Tukit's character reflects the classic trickster archetype. His cunning nature and manipulative tactics highlight the show's recurring theme of trust and the consequences of misplaced faith, especially for the young and impressionable Wilykit and Wilycat. At the same time, in the pit, Pumera continues to attack Lion-O. Dobo refuses to cease the fight despite the group's entreaties. Until Panthro explains why he left that evening, Dobo claims that this conflict demonstrates the true loyalty of cats. Panthro informs him that he and Dobo will face off in a deathmatch in the upcoming battle. When Dobo asks if he ran because he was worried about losing, Panthro responds that he was worried about winning. Pumera continues to attack Lion-O. Despite being battered by Pumera's strikes, he remains upright at the pit and declares that he vowed to support her. Pumera refuses to continue the battle after realizing that he is a kind and strong king. Until he hears his people urging him to let them live, Dobo claims that both must be executed because they forfeited the match. He lets Pumera and Lion-O survive and gives them both their freedom after finding out why Panthro left and seeing how devoted they are to one another. Lion-O asks Pumera where the other cats that were abducted by the lizards are today, and she responds, Mount Plundar, pointing to a mountain that looks menacing. By the end of this episode, Lion-O has completely healed his previous wounds and made new pals. Episode 20, Curse of Ratilla. This episode is set in Mount Plundar. In the first scene, we can see how the cats enslaved in Plundar are treated. When two cats try to escape, they are executed. The Thundercats are here to take the sword of Plundar and rescue all those enslaved. They observe and forge a plan. The group separates as Tigra and Chitara search the mine for the sword, while Lion-O, Panthro, and Pumera go in the other direction to free the slaves. Shortly after, Tigra and Chitara disguise themselves as slaves to blend in with the others. Meanwhile, as Lion-O offers water to an enslaved cat, he learns how brutally the rat guards would treat them. Just when they spot a rat guard whipping a slave, Pumera, unable to contain her rage, attacks him. Panthro and Lion-O too join the fight. Just as she is about to kill the guard, he stops her and advises her to be merciful. However, taking this opportunity, the rat guard takes them as hostages. On the other hand, Chitara and Tigra volunteer to look for the sword and learn of the curse that comes with it. As they are being lifted down, the rope tears and they fall. Chitara, with her shaft, manages to save herself and Tigra. The depiction of the enslaved cats and Pumera's emotional outburst highlights the series' focus on trauma. Lion-O's commitment to compassion contrasts with Pumera's rage, further emphasizing his growth as a leader. The scene shifts to Lion-O, Pumera, and Panthero as they are introduced to Raitaro, the rat warlord. He explains that he comes from the bloodline of Ratilla, who found the sword of Plundar in a swamp ages after Mum-Ra's downfall and used it as his own. When Jagger took Ratilla down, he cast a curse on the sword, causing Mount Plundar to rise up around it to keep it safe from evil hands. Just like Ratilla, Rataro is convinced the sword of Plundar will make the Rat clan more dominant in Third Earth, and he's ready to do anything it takes to turn that vision into reality. He then tells the Rat Guard that he wants the cats dead. This infuriates Lion-O. On a better note, Tigra and Chitara find the sword of Plundar. Back in Rataro's chamber, right when the Thundercats are about to be executed, the ground shakes and the building breaks down. As Lion-O looks around for his teammates, Rataro strikes him from behind. As the fight escalates, he orders the Rat Guard to kill Lion-O. However, after being abused by Raitaro, the Rat Guard refuses to obey him. He hands Lion-O the Sword of Omens and walks away. Eventually, Lion-O defeats Raitaro. The episode ends with Thundercats watching Mum-Ra's army approach. Birth of the Blades, Episode 21. As Mum-Ra's army closes in, the Thundercats forge a plan. Pumera suggests that they use the Sword of Plundar to lure the army into the mines. This way, the slaves will have enough time to escape. Lion-O agrees to the plan as he owes it to his people. He tells Panthro, Chitara, and Tigra to wait in the Thunder Tank, while Pumera and he will catch up after they lose the army in the mines. The scene changes to show Mum-Ra casting a spell that will lead him directly to the sword. As they navigate the mines, the sword starts glowing. Lion-O feels Mum-Ra call to it, along with the evil inside it. In the past, it was Leo, Lion-O's ancestor, who located the Warstone. After consulting the ancient spirits of evil, Mum-Ra had ordered Commander Leo to destroy the Star of Plundar for its rare ore. Despite Panthera's pleas to spare the billions of lives in the star system, Mum-Ra forced the act, forging the Sword of Plundar with the star's remains, an act of ruthless ambition that sowed seeds of rebellion in Leo and Panthera. The reboot expands the mythology of the Sword of Plundar, giving it a tragic and sinister origin tied to genocide and cosmic destruction. This backstory deepens Mum-Ra's role as a tyrant and adds layers to Lion-O's heritage, emphasizing the burden of correcting his ancestors' past mistakes. Haunted by the genocide, Leo and Panthera secretly rebelled, crafting the Sword of Omens from leftover ore to counter it. In the present, Lion-O splits from Pumera to thin Mum-Ra's forces, but Mum-Ra ambushes her, snatching the sword and hurling her down a shaft. Faced with a choice, pursue the sword or save Pumera, Lion-O rescues her, letting Mum-Ra escape with the prize. They regroup at the Thunder Tank, grimly aware Mum-Ra now wields the Sword of Plundar's menacing power. Pumera, moved by Lion-O's repeated heroics, softens her grudge against him, hinting at loyalty ahead. Mum-Ra's victory shifts the war's balance, setting a darker stage. Though Chitara and Tigra are present, they remain silent, spotlighting Lion-O and Pumera's dynamic amidst the escalating stakes. Episode 22, The Forever Bag. This episode is a continuation of the storyline from episode 19, The Pit, where Wily-Kit and Wily-Cat lose their things to Tookit, a thief. They are still in the City of Dogs, but were unable to find Tookit. Just as they start to lose hope, they stumble onto Tookit. He says that their things are at his home, so they must follow him there. At his lair, Tookit shows off the Forever Bag, a magical sack that holds endless loot, and introduces his posse of young pickpockets, Genyo, Gusto, and Albo. He hands back the twins' items with a grin, tossing in some extra gifts as an apology. But those gifts turn out to be hot jewels, landing Wily-Kit and Wily-Cat in trouble with the local Dog City cops. The Forever Bag is a clever nod to classic magical items like the Bag of Holding from tabletop role-playing games. Its endless capacity and connection to Tookit's schemes highlight the show's blend of fantasy elements with creative storytelling. Tookit sends his crew to bail out the siblings. When the dog guard looks for them, they hide in the Forever Bag. The kittens decide to stay with Tookit until the Thundercats return. To celebrate, Tookit leads them on a crime spree, hitting up stores across town. Wily-Kit and Wily-Cat start to see through his charm when they catch his gang pocketing cash and overhear his scheme to hit a big jewelry store next. Fed up, the twins hatch a plan to turn the tables. Teaming up with Genyo, Gusto, and Albo, the kittens whip up a bunch of fake Forever Bags to mess with Tookit. They trick him into bragging about how he's kept his young thieves trapped in a life of crime with no way out. A nearby dog cop overhears the confession and calls Tookit out for being a lowlife. Furious, the cop chases Tookit down. The raccoon tries to slip away with one of the bogus bags, but it flops, and the cop nabs him, hauling him off to jail. As the cell door shuts, Tookit smirks and pulls out a stolen hairpin, hinting he's not done yet. Episode 23, Recipe for Disaster. The episode begins with Mum-Ra standing before a bubbling cauldron and weaving dark magic. The ancient spirits of evil howl through swirling shadows as he chants, resurrecting the Sycorax, a hulking reptilian beast with jagged teeth and glowing eyes. He infuses himself with the beast to become the instrument that will destroy the Thundercats. Meanwhile, Lion-O and Pumera collect firewood together while the others are at the Thunder Tank. Eager to impress Pumera, he gives her a flower, but it backfires, swelling her face due to an allergic reaction and souring her mood further. On their journey, the Thundercats stumble across Ponzi, a Wollo snake oil salesman recently booted from Wollo Village for peddling fake cures. Seeing Pumera's puffed up face, Ponzi sells Lion-O a vial of her miracle elixir, which she refuses to touch. Just as Ponzi leaves, they are attacked by Sycorax. No weapons or powers work against it. As it grabs Lion-O, the elixir vial shatters, releasing fumes that knock the beast out cold. Realizing this fluke is their only edge, they chase Ponzi for more. Spooked by the Thunder Tank's pursuit, Ponzi's cart flips off a cliff, smashing his elixir stash. After explaining their dire need, he agrees to guide them to the hidden spring, home to the Caracara tree, the elixir's secret ingredient. Ponzi's character and his miracle elixir are a humorous nod to classic snake oil salesman tropes. This episode cleverly blends comic relief with an important lesson about unexpected solutions and trusting unlikely allies. En route, Ponzi notices Lion-O's crush on Pumera and slips him a love potion. Lion-O spikes Pumera's drink, but Tigra gulps it instead, sparking a hilarious bout of brotherly affection. He trails Lion-O like a love-struck puppy, much to everyone's amusement. At the spring, the team harvests every Caracara leaf, but Ponzi's giant caterpillar, Lucy, munches them all before he can brew the elixir. As Lucy cocoons in shame, the Sycorax strikes again. With no potion, hope fades, until Lucy emerges as a massive butterfly, her leaf-infused body now a weapon. She blankets the Sycorax in green crystals, shattering it. Mum-Ra, in raven form, flees, vowing revenge. The episode ends with the Thundercats bidding Ponzi farewell as he heads off, while they resume their trek to Dog City. Pumera's icy demeanour thaws slightly, though she gripes about her swollen face. Episode 24. The Soul Sever. In this episode, the Thundercats are stuck as the Thunder Tank needs fixing, and the Book of Omens keeps pointing upwards. At this moment, Lion-O meets Jorma. Jorma tells him that after barely escaping Thunderer, he moved his old junk shop back home. They all visit his shop to figure out what is wrong with the book. After inspecting, he concludes that there is nothing wrong with the book. He hints that the sky is not always empty and takes them to a junkyard to show them a secret. Here, they witness machine parts falling from the sky. They realise that somebody is up there and they have the next stone. Suddenly, Jorma urges them to leave as the Necromechs arrive. The Thundercats realise that these machines are after the Thunder Tank and the book. As they try to fight them off, one machine steals the book away. Additionally, they also destroyed the Thunder Tank. In the next scene, the Necromech hands the book over to the Soul Sever. The Soul Sever realises that a soul is living in the book. He rejoices as he believes that he finally has the key to give the soul an everlasting body. Meanwhile, back at the junkyard, Jorma explains how the Soul Sever made those robots. He informs them that Sever is trying to make machines with souls. Jorma then tells them to follow Flicker, as it will lead them to the Soul Sever. Flicker is most likely an homage to the 1980s movie Batteries Not Included, with its small, helpful, mechanical nature echoing the film's tiny flying robots. When they enter the Sever's chamber, they find him with the book. He refuses to give the book away. He explains that as sickness had taken over his family, he turned to the Necromechas, a cult that harvested technology shunned at Third Earth. They kept his family alive, but in exchange, they turned him into a weapon. When he urged them to make better bodies, they warned him that it would perverse the balance of nature. As a result, he destroyed them. He captured the souls of his family to make them the perfect bodies. The cats try to trick the Soul Server and fail. He captures them and uses them to conduct experiments. Just when their soul is about to be severed, Flicker frees Lion-O. He fights the Sever as Tigra's soul is transferred to a machine. For a minute, the server rejoices, but the machine goes rampant and swallows the souls of his family. A Geiger spark by Flicker saves the day. At the end of this episode, the Thundercats leave the Soul Server to grieve in peace. Episode 25. What Lies Above, Part 1. This episode opens with Wily Kit and Wily Cat painting the Thundercats emblem on an airship they found at the Soul Sever's lair. They name it the Feliner, a little nod to another ship with the same name in the 1985 series. The Feliner will take them up to the next stone. As they prepare for flight, Panthro is confident that he will be able to maneuver it. However, when they are in the air, he realises he is scared of heights. With air and water not working out for him, it seems like Panthro really should just stick to ground transport. They are almost about to crash when Tigra takes over the controls and naturally controls the airship. He follows the direction of the book and they arrive at a city in the sky. On landing, they learn that this is the city of Avista. They meet Voltaire, who is the prefect of this city. He invites them for dinner. He says that here, technology provides for all their needs. When the Thundercats inform the birds that they came for the stone, they get laughed at. Despite their warning that Mum-Ra could target Avista and the stone, and stressing that gathering all 4 stones is Third Earth's only chance for survival, Voltaire brushes it off, insisting it's not my issue. Frustrated, Tigra throws out a daring bet. If the cats come out on top, they claim the 3rd stone. If the birds prevail, they seize both the War Stone and the Spirit Stone. The contest, a test of piloting skill, a challenge Voltaire smirks at, confident he'll outfly any lowly cat. Even though Tigra's stuck with a beat-up ship next to Voltaire's sleek ride, and Voltaire cheats with sneaky moves, Tigra pulls off the win. Voltaire, though, backs out of the deal and orders the Thundercats locked up, intending to dispose of them at dawn. Classic villain move, overconfidence, underestimating the heroes, and of course, never honouring a bet. Pumera steps in to bust them out of their cell, but Panthro's height phobia kicks in, sending him slipping off the building's edge. Lion-O and Tigra haul him back up, and the team, minus Wily Kit, Wily Cat and Snarf, who were dispatched to the Feliner, sets off to claim the stone they believe they've rightfully earned. The Thundercats locate the room indicated by the Book of Omens, where the stone is stored, but a locked panel with a code stops them cold. Pumera comes up with a plan, dragging Voltaire back under duress to unlock it. He grudgingly complies, but once inside the Techstone chamber, tensions flare. He snaps at the cats, claiming they're just grabbing whatever suits them, as usual. He warns that the stones were deliberately scattered for a purpose, and reuniting them could spell trouble. This, of course, is another classic trope, with the powerful objects scattered not to hide them from the bad guys, but to stop the good guys from using them wrong. More crucially, he reveals the stone's energy keeps a vista aloft. Taking it would send the city plummeting. Lion-O hesitates, unwilling to mimic Mum-Ra's ruthless tactics by endangering others, and decides to stand down. Pumera, however, isn't having it. She lunges for the stone, only to be jolted by an electric barrier Voltaire conveniently overlooked. Sirens scream, and a flock of bird guards storms in, encircling the Thundercats. Here's a question though. Will this be the extent of Pumera's disobedience, or is there more to come?
He is my master.
Episode 26. What Lies Above, Part 2. Following Pumera's failed attempt at grabbing the Techstone, the cats are thrown into an automated trash chute, primed to plummet from a vista's heights. Just then, Mum-Ra's forces strike, giving the cats leverage to persuade Voltaire to spare them in exchange for help against the assault. Panthro and Pumera man cannons, blasting Mum-Ra's air fleet, while Tigra teams up with Voltaire and Avista's guards for an aerial strike, until Mum-Ra swoops in, decimating most of the bird defenders. Voltaire caves as a part of Mum-Ra's allegiance, but Pumera reverts Lion-O to the chamber of the Techstone. Mum-Ra bursts in and pushes Pumera aside, and Lion-O battles him. As the two of them fight, the stones that Lion-O carries reverberate with power, placing his gauntlet arm into armour. The Techstone breaks free during the fray, dropping Avista into freefall. While Lion-O and Mum-Ra fight over it, Pumera picks it up and, in a twist of events, gives it to Mum-Ra, stating Lion-O is her king, but Mum-Ra her master. Talk about mixed signals. Mum-Ra christens Pumera his beloved as she kneels down and kisses his hand. He is empowered by the Techstone, masking him in dark power. The flashback reveals Pumera's history. Wounded in Thundera's destruction, she perished as she witnessed Lion-O, Tigra, and Chitara escape. Her anger brought forth Mum-Ra, who awakened her with the ancient spirits of evil as his mole, following the Thundercats' every move. Despite the rallying of the team, Lion-O can't outdo Mum-Ra, but Wily Kit and Wily Cat, having traversed Third Earth to mobilize allies. Lion-O had helped the Burbles, fishmen, elephants, and dogs arrive in the nick of time. Stored in the Forever Bag for transport, they unleash this army on Mum-Ra and Pumera. Hoping Avista's crash destroys all enemies, Mum-Ra and Pumera flee, with Pumera promising to complete Lion-O next time. Panthro takes control, piloting the falling city to a bumpy but secure landing. Grateful for their rescue, the Avistans warm up to the Thundercats. Chitara assures them that the Burbles will revive Avista's systems. Seeing Lion-O stumbling around in shock at Pumera's double cross, Wily Kit fills Chitara's former cleric position, boosting his morale. She tells him of the animals rallying behind him and reminds him that there is still one Power Stone waiting to be claimed. The season closes with Wily Kit presenting the Sword of Omens to Lion-O, the new leader holding it high, a beacon of hope in the context of betrayal and impending wars. Overall, Thundercats 2011 is a take-no-prisoners remake of a classic series, mixing deeper storytelling, richer character development, and stunning visuals. The series is able to present themes of leadership, sacrifice, and determination well through the experiences of Lion-O. Although the series was brief, its commitment to storytelling and its respect for the original series ensured its lasting popularity among fans. Whether a long-time Thundercats fan or new to the series, this reboot presents an exciting adventure that is well worth seeing. If you appreciate our effort in bringing this all to you, do like the video and subscribe to our channel for more.